Good evening to you all, you guys. Thank you for checking in. As I promised, I'm going live with Dr. Upasana Gala from Evolve Brain Training from here from the UAE to support you, inform you, educate you with all the things you need to know and you can do to protect your mental health, especially in these times. Good evening!
Hello.
So excited, we've made it! We made it!
Finally.
Before we dive into our topic of mental health to support my fans, to support all people who are following you and Evolve Brain Training, I want to say that I'm so pleased to have you here. First of all, because we are good friends and I adore what you do. I'm a huge fan of your work. I've been telling you that from day one when we met. I love you, I love your family. I saw the results of your EEG treatment on my focus, on my sleep.
You need to come back for more sessions.
I'm coming back. And for those of you, if you think I'm happy, if you think I'm always filled with enthusiasm, or if you think I look good, it's also because of the brain training. It's also, it's a contributor. So I'm just waiting for a few more people to join. I see Buesa, someone from Bahrain joining. To everyone here from the UAE joining, hello, hello. We are discussing mental health with my dear friend, Dr. Upasana Gala, who is a neuroscientist. She has her PhD in brain science. So prepare your questions when it comes to performance, right, Upasana?
Performance, things like manage stress, fear.
Fears. Human beings have fears. Yay! In case some of you didn't know about that. I was just opening the news, and there are not too many good news online today. And I'm not going to go into numbers, but a lot indicates that over 1.6 billion people will be affected in the second and third quarter by this pandemic. And that means that more and more and more and more people are going to feel the weight and the heaviness of the unknown, the I'm not good, the what am I going to do? So, of course, Upasana and I cannot solve the world's problem. We are not even going to attempt. But everybody can do their part. And tonight and in the future days to come, in the days to come, we will do our part. So what can you what can you teach us straight up about how we can deal with uncertainty and the unknown? If we are at home and if we lost our job and our salary has been cut in half, we don't really know how the year is going to pan out. What are a few things that we can do?
So the scariest thing for the unknown is the fact that it's unknown, right? You don't know what the possibilities can be. And our brain loves control. Our brain loves having a plan, loves knowing what's going to happen. And when you have so many unknowns, it really stresses your brain out. So, because all the possibilities, so your brain will try to think of the worst possible thing, even though it's not likely for it to be the worst possible thing, but that's what our brain jumps to. So one of the ways you can deal with this is write it down. Write down whatever you think can happen. Whatever is the worst possible idea in your head that you think will happen, just write it down. Because more often than not, it's much bigger in your head than what it actually is. When you put it in writing, you actually get to see that, oh, this is the worst case scenario, but it's highly unlikely that this will happen. Okay, then what's the next case scenario? And then what's the next? And that way you'll come to a conclusion of things that will probably happen. And then you know what you're dealing with. And then you can come up with solutions based on that. And you feel some sense of control. So, and rather than relying on, complete unknown and thinking the worst possible things, put it down in writing, all your options, whatever could be possible. And then it's something you can deal with in a tangible way.
What happens chemically in our brain when we write down, I'm afraid I won't be able to pay my rent? I'm afraid I won't be able to provide for my kids. I'm afraid I'm not man enough or a good wife, and I'm not able to be there for my family. I can't provide. I feel hopeless. What happens when you actually write these emotions on paper?
Now, now it's a goal. It's goal with words. It's a tangible goal. Okay, so I need to figure out a way to provide for my kids. I need to figure out a way for a second income. I need to figure out. If it's like an unknown, I'm just scared. I just don't know what's going to happen if you. But now, when you put down the actual things you're scared about, then you think, okay, these are the things I need to do something about. What else can I do to, have a second income, or what else can I do to increase my savings, stuff like that. So putting something that helps give yourself a view of where to go next, where we can go from here, instead of relying on the that does in our brain and giving in to that reptilian fear. Now we are engaging our thinking brain, our prefrontal cortex, and thinking brain will take you out of the fear thinking, fear feeling emotional brain.
You've been teaching me so much about how to control my emotions and how to take care of my psychology and of my emotions. Can you tell everybody joining now live, and hello to everyone. Stay here for another 15-20 minutes if you want to learn how to be more resilient, and if you want to learn what's happening in your brain during this pandemic, because Dr. Upasana, for those of you who have just joined, is going to tell you. Can you educate us on what is the reptilian brain, and what is the prefrontal, and how do we manage the both, and what is their role and how they've evolved?
Right. So the reptilian brain is basically the emotional brain. So it's this small area in your brain called the amygdala, which is in your temporal lobe, and its sole function is your survival. So in the olden days, if you were being attacked by a lion, your amygdala is going to be activated, send signals to the rest of your body, and immediately turn your brain either into a fight signal or in a flight mode. And while it does that, at the same time, it also brings signals to the prefrontal cortex, telling it to shut down, saying that it's not important to think rationally right now. Right now, I just need to either run or fight myself. But these days, we don't have anything that's really going to affect our survival. Today, people are dealing with more like fear of failure, fear of losing their job, fear of judgment, these kind of fears. So they're not immediately going to kill us. So we actually need our prefrontal to be activated. We don't want the amygdala to tell our prefrontal cortex down. We actually need increased prefrontal cortex so we can make rational decisions. We can make decisions based on actual judgment rather than fear allowing us to make our decisions for ourselves.
And how do we become more aware and breathe through, control and keep our amygdala in check and be more resourceful?
Learning to not be afraid is actually a habit. So it's something you can learn, like any other habit. Some of the ways you can teach yourself to not be so much is have a good track record. So
have a good what?
Good track record. So, for example,
give us an example.
Yeah, track record. So if you're afraid, for example, afraid of public speaking, the more you speak in public, the more successfully you come out of it, the better your brain will think like, oh, I have done this before, I can do it again. And yeah, you don't have to be perfect, you don't have to be amazing, but the more and more you do it without anything being affected in your body, which won't. Just because you speak, nothing is going to actually happen to you. So your brain will finally figure out, hey, look, I did this before and I was fine. Let me try it again. And you do it 100 times, and then the brain has a new idea of public speaking. Like, okay, this is not scary at all anymore because I've done it so many times and I came out totally fine. And the same thing with this, you need to remember that there were other times in your life that seemed really difficult, that seemed that you will never get out of it, or it was never ending, or felt just as hopeless, but you overcame it and you are here today. So try to remember those things. Try to remember those feelings, write it down, practice doing more things like that so your brain stops being afraid of fear.
I keep on telling everybody that, really with public speaking is all about being on the platform and practicing. But the way you explain what's happening in the brain is super exciting. So let's say somebody was afraid and they we are going to just park our discussion for 5 minutes around public speaking, and we are going to go back to mental health for sure. So somebody went on stage the first time, everything is fine because of course they trained with me. They went once, twice, and they are good. What is happening in the brain now? What type of calculation the brain is doing, and why is that next time it's easier and easier?
There's something in your brain called, there's a process called proplasticity, which basically is the ability of your brain to grow and learn and adapt to changes. So in our brain, there are billions of pathways, which everything you do or think or act or feel is a pathway. And the more times you do that thing, think that thing, or feel that thing, the pathway keeps becoming stronger and stronger and stronger until it becomes natural habit for your brain. Then you don't have to worry about it. This is how we learn any habit, any new habit. If you ever learned, it's because of the neuroplasticity. And when you do something like this, when you put yourself on the stage again and again and again, you are strengthening this connection that was not there at all before. You first of all made this connection, and then by repeating it again and again, you are strengthening this connection. So your brain is getting more and more used to speaking speaking in public without feeling any negative effects. And the more and more you do it, this will come naturally to you. And that's what I'm sure happened in your brain. You're a natural public speaker because you've done it so many times. And your brain has adapted that. And this is your brain good at public speaking. And anyone can get there doing the same thing.
Anyone can get there, absolutely. And I remember my first speech in 2009 perfectly, and I remember my whole body shivering. I remember the whole body was reactive. The body was saying, no, I'm afraid, I'm at risk. And my will, and because I prepared, was saying, yes, we are doing this. And you really feel the fear. You feel that, my knees were shaken, my voice was shaking, and I did it. And in that moment, really, it's like a push and pull within your system.
Yeah. It's interesting you bring up physical reactions, because if you actually think about it, the physical reactions you feel, fear or anxiety, are actually very similar to the ones you feel from being excited or exhilarated. The same things are happening. Your heart rate increases, your palms sweating, in your stomach. It's the same feeling. The body reacts the same way. It's just the story that your brain is creating that is making you think it's anxiety versus excitement. So another way to actually learn not to be afraid is to reappraise your physical reactions. When you feel anxious reactions, physical reactions of anxiety, tell your brain, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm not, maybe I'm really excited about this. So just change the feeling in your brain, and then the next time you feel those physical reactions, your brain will think, oh, maybe I'm excited about this meeting or excited about this talk, and that's why I'm feeling this way. So that's another way you can learn. You can basically trick the brain into giving into fear rather than being afraid of.
But why is that fear and excitement are very similar? Can you tell us more about how come they are very similar?
It's the same physiological reaction in the brain. The same, you get an adrenaline rush even from doing something exciting. You also get an adrenaline rush when you are faced with a threat and your body needs to fight or fly, or fly or fight. So It's the same thing that's happening in your brain, but how we perceive it is different. So the same chemical reaction happening in your brain, in your body, but the way we perceive our own, oh wait, I'm scared of this, it's not exciting. So, like when you watch a scary movie, when you go to a haunted house, it's fun, but scary. It's the same thing is happening in your brain.
It's not fun. It's not fun. Going to a scary house, haunted house is not fun. I don't know what, maybe you have different ideas, but it's not fun for me.
Yes, the idea that makes it okay, like not that scared for people, is because of context. You can contextualize the thing, and it knows that, okay, I know there's not really a ghost, I'm only watching a scary movie, or I'm only going to a haunted house. Same like seeing an animal at the zoo versus in wildlife. Your brain contextualizes the thing, and so it changes your entire perception. But like you mentioned, some people have different agencies of how they can handle this perceived fear. Some people, for them, it's not fun. It's always scary, even if they're watching a scary movie. But again, you can learn how to not be scared of scary movies.
Why is it that for more than 5-10 years, stress has been the main reason most people are going to see any doctor. Stomach, skin, liver, digestion, like they are coming to you in your case for lack of sleep, lack of focus. How is it possible that we are more stressed in the age of digital and AI? And what can we do to lower the stress from your perspective?
We are more stressed because our lifestyles are not very healthy. You know, having more digital objects around us is not a good thing. It just means more things that need our time, more devices that need our attention. So we are spread thinner and thinner to attend to all of these things, apart from, of course, your usual your job, your family, and then you have all of this Instagram likes and this stuff. So everything is just an extension of your brain. Plus, you know, we are working longer hours than we used to. You know, and it's like the culture of always on is almost like it's a good that, oh, you can catch me anytime. I'm available anytime. I work until late. Like
the culture of hustling. You have to hustle. You have to work hard. You have to be in places. You have to put content if you're a content creator.
The busier you are and the less you sleep, somehow that more glorified it is. So of course, stress is more present in all of our lives because of this kind of narrative that has become common in today's culture.
So it's the common narrative.
Ways to reduce stress. There's so many things.
Tell me, what are the top 3 complaints that people have when they come to you to Evolve Training? And for those of you who have never heard of Dr. Upasana in Evolve Training, although I have been there quite a lot, she has a method called Neurofeedback, which is EEG, that trains your brain. And of course, I will not even attempt to tell you more about that because the expert is here. So what is EEG training and why neurofeedback is so revolutionary and so good for our mental health?
So neurofeedback means feedback for the brain. So an analogy I often use is imagine you're walking by a mirror and your hair is messed up. Now when you look in the mirror, you get that information about your hair being messed up, so you fix it, right? So that is exactly what we do with neurofeedback to your brain. We show your brain its own activity in real time using EEG sensors. And once the brain sees that something is not right, it can regulate because our brains, our bodies, we have a self-regulating mechanism only if they know what they're doing. So that's where we come in. Where we basically hold a mirror up to your brain, like, brain, look what you're doing. As soon as the brain sees it's doing something wrong, it knows how to fix itself. And the way we show the brain what it's doing is using these EEG sensors that attach to your head, and these sensors are listening, monitoring your brain activity. And then this information about your brain activity is translated by my software onto a video output. So you could be sitting in a chair watching some Friends on Netflix with the sensor attached to you, and the Netflix screen will change in size and clarity, and the sound will change in volume in real time based on your own brain. So as your brain is doing different things, screen and the sound will change. Say you come to me for a lot of anxiety. Then every time your brain is relaxed, the screen will be full screen, it will be clear, and the sound will be good. If you get distracted, bored, or scared, and any negative thoughts come in your head, the screen will start becoming smaller, blurrier, and the sound more muffled. Now, the full screen and good sound are a positive reward for the brain. Brain likes it, so brain will try to do more and more of that activity to get that positive reward. And that's how we take your brain from anxious to calm, or distracted to focus, or sad to happy. That's how it works.
How did you come across neurofeedback, and why did it resonate so much with you? Why did you choose to provide this type of service? Because of course you have your certification, you have your PhD, you could have gone into many other avenues, yet you have chosen EEG and neurofeedback. How come?
I chose it because it personally changed my life. I mean, before, I've always been very anxious kid, a lot of anxiety and a lot of sleep issues because of the anxiety. I would only sleep like 3 or 4 hours a night. I would lay in bed trying to go to sleep, but my brain would just not shut up. It's like somebody left the radio on in my brain and I didn't know where the off button was. And this was my whole life. And I just assumed it's normal to feel this way because that's how I always was until I tried neurofeedback. And I'm telling you, like, I feel like the weight of the entire world lifted off my shoulder. The same thing I keep on thinking about, or I know it would make me sad or cry. And now the same thing would happen, and I'm like, oh, this thing has no power. I'm just a completely changed person, much calmer, so much more zen. And I just had to bring this to everybody. So I tried it on my family, I tried it on my friends, saw amazing results, and then that's when I decided to start this company so I could do this for others.
Two important things. I've tried EEG. I think I've done between 18 to 22 sessions, and I'm smiling so much better now. I remember calling you after a few sessions. I feel smarter. I feel more creative. I have more energy. What was that? And I was like telling everybody on Instagram, telling my friends, listen, you have anxiety. You think you have, even if you have broken up with something and you have a broken heart, she can fix that because everything is in their brain. It's a brain reaction. Go see Dr. Upasana. And I love that, just like in my case as well, the famous saying, we teach what we need to learn. In your case and in mine, also I'm teaching confidence because I needed so much to uplift my own. And in studying so much, I feel like, wow, I have so many resources. And I just love the subject because I love it for me. And so I'm authentic. And same with you. Yes, you studied for how many years? 7 years or more or less? You studied the brain?
I studied the brain since I was 16, so it's been 16 years. I did undergrad.
So you studied this little organ that is like this size. You studied it for 16 years?
And I continue to study it, even with the clients that come to my office, and I'm like continuously, I love it. I love learning about their brain journeys, and I'm like do my own studies in my office, with the clients that are coming in. I'm never going to stop studying the brain. I think it's the most interesting and incredible organ.
What are the the cases that are top of mind for you now? I know you help people with anxiety, with HDHD, with people who can't sleep, like you had your case, but what are the most famous cases that you had encountered?
You mean like
the main complaints? The main complaints.
The main complaints is stress, work stress, family stress, and not being able to sleep. But I also get a lot of people coming in for focus and attention and their performance. So I also have a lot of peak performance clients. So they don't have any issues with anxiety, but they just want to improve their performance. So they want to improve their focus, they want to improve their productivity, their creativity, those kind of things. So I even work with corporate. I do corporate workshops and show them tricks and tools that they can do in everyday life to keep their brain sharp, keep their brain fit. Even as we get older, our brain doesn't have to age along with our body. So there are tricks to keep your brain young.
I know, and for everyone who wants to learn, they have to follow you on Evolve Training. Evolve Training. What are a few things we can do at home to first calm ourselves down? Tell us a little bit about meditation, mindfulness, and how we relate with our family, and then we're gonna go more into other stuff.
So, breathing is something natural that we do. Just breathing and different kinds of exercises. Oxygen is what your brain needs a lot of, and you can give it that by amazing breathing exercises. Meditation not only, of course, it helps you calm down, but it also strengthens your prefrontal cortex. So what I was mentioning earlier about helping you make rational decisions or not be afraid of fear, the more you meditate, and they did a study in the people that meditate a lot, and their prefrontal cortex is much stronger. So they are better able to remain calm even in a stressful situation because they don't get, their prefrontal cortex doesn't get shut off by the amygdala when there is a threat. They are able to stay calm, they're able to stay rational, and they're able to not make rash decisions. Not only that, it also increases the size of your hippocampus. So your hippocampus is the small region in the middle of your brain that's important for learning and memory. So it helps you be a better learner. So you can learn things faster and you can learn things more easily. And it helps you improve your memory. So it has a lot of benefits from just making you calm. It makes you calmer and it makes you smarter.
I would like to ask, so we sit for 12-15 minutes, we breathe, and we either do a guided meditation, either a silent one. What really happens in the brain that the prefrontal gets stronger? Can you tell us a little bit about chemistry, the connection between the hemisphere? Because some people, the more they know what's happening and what exactly is being activated, what happens chemically, and that you get this benefit.
So in our brain, there are different brain waves. There's the delta wave, which is the slowest brain wave when you're asleep. That's the brain wave. Then there's the theta wave, which is the brain wave between asleep and consciousness. You know, sometimes when you're driving down a road and you don't remember the last 5 miles and you zoned out, that's when you're in theta state. The alpha state is your relaxed awareness. So if you're just relaxing on a beach, your brain is in alpha state. And your beta state is your alert, awake, conscious state. Right now, you and I, we are in beta state because we're doing an intelligent activity. Now your brain has to be able to move in all of these states all the time. When we meditate, we are actually activating the alpha and theta. And these states are really important because they only get turned on when our beta levels are low. So when you're not actively thinking about something, not actively doing something, that alpha and theta state can go up. And in this state, you can experience the most creative thoughts, ideas, calmness. It's the state also where people keep a lot of their unprocessed traumas, or people that have addiction issues. This is the state we need to take you to be able to get over it. And when you meditate a lot, you are teaching your brain how to, on will, be able to go into the theta. And the more and more you meditate, the more you will have access to your own alpha and theta state. So instead of always being in this alpha beta state, you learn to be more in the alpha and theta state that allows you to be calmer and allows you to have a stronger prefrontal cortex.
So you condition your own brain to activate more the alpha and the theta state. So that's why when we check our phones too often, which there's an average of 200 times a day, we stay a lot in beta, so we keep on jumping, right, like this.
The worst time is to wake up with your phone next to you. So sorry to interrupt you, but this is what I want to tell everybody. Don't sleep with your phone next to you, because when you wake up, you're going to the theta state, and then your brain is you're going from the delta to the theta state, and from the theta to the alpha. As soon as you pick your phone up, immediately your brain is in theta state. So you have missed this beautiful time of alpha state activity that you have when you first wake up in the morning, and it's just totally gone in a flip of a second, just like your phone. So give yourself like 10 minutes in the morning without any phone, just experience the alpha activity of your brain, experience the theta activity of your brain, and it will set a really good tone for the rest of you.
And in this way, reduce your chances to be more stressed by respecting the states of the body and not putting yourself in a beta state immediately. I already do it. The phone is not next to me, it's not allowed. It's very rare. It's very rare that I will check out the phone. Okay, so speaking of which, what are the most common precautions that people can take to protect their sanity? Because stress is around us. For sure, our adrenaline and our cortisol are at different levels, higher levels for everybody, for you, for me, for our families, because the news, because the cases, because, today I went to the mall. I really had to make an important errand, and I wanted to return a dress to a shop, and the person in the shop said, "Don't exit from here, exit from there." I said, "Why?" "Because of COVID." I said, "Okay, sure, I will listen to you, but what's the logic?" "No logic, this is what the store manager said." So, if you breathe and if you understand the situation, you're easily exiting from, but when things don't make sense, so I'm sure around the world there is enough havoc, there is enough chaos. So what are the main precautions that we can take to do our best to take care of ourselves? For sure, the states, alpha, theta, and meditation, and breathing. What else?
Physical activity. Physical activity does a lot more for your brain than it does for your body. So don't underestimate the power of physical exercise for what it does for your brain. It increases the production of dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine in the brain, which is responsible for motivation, for better mood, for focus. Not only that, it increases the size of your hippocampus. So it makes you a better learner, makes you remember things better, and just generally keeps you in a better mood. So don't forget the power of physical exercise and what it can do for your brain. And be physically active, keep moving, even if you're, of course, but just something like just go up and down the stairs or walk around in your neighborhood. You do that now. Just add a little bit of movement in your everyday life. And the other one, Yeah.
What can we read? What can we feed our minds to stay focused on things that are good for us?
So I just recently started doing this. Like to keep, because of, the current times, it's easy to get overwhelmed by all the things that are going wrong, all the negative around you. So I try to write down at least one thing that I am happy about, or I'm grateful for, or one positive thing in my life. Because it's easy to get caught up in all the negativity. Our brain loves playing the negative things over and over again. So it's a good idea to remind the brain every once in a while of positive things. So write down, or keep a gratitude list, especially before going to bed. So end your day on a really positive thought. Think of like one or two good things that you're really happy about, that you're grateful for, even in these times. So that's another thing that I personally like to do.
Absolutely amazing. First of all, we have a lot of people here who are saying hello, and I want to say hello to Mariam, to Sultan Haji from Abu Dhabi. Thank you so much for being here. I think Dr. Sultan, to be more precise, he says physical activity affect our emotion and feelings. Do the same when feel bored or have an urge to check our social media. Are you personally worried about the pandemic? What are your thoughts on it?
You mean health-wise or business-wise?
Both. Let's start with health-wise.
Health-wise, I feel like the things that I can control, I am doing them. I'm not putting myself at risk. I'm maintaining social distance and only go out if I need to. So I am doing all the things that are in my control, which is the best you can do. So there's no point worrying about what I cannot control. So I focus on things that I can control. Business-wise, honestly, I really don't know. I am just taking each day as it comes. Worrying about the future doesn't help anybody, and it's not a good idea for the brain. But you plan and you make contingency plans and you do your best and take each day as it comes. I think that's the best thing you can do.
I can only imagine here in the UAE the wave that hit the SMEs, and you are an SME as well, a very successful one. I come to your center and there are at least 3 to 4 people almost every day. You've grown exponentially since last year. So, your business depends on people coming to you, but also recently, right? Just recently you've launched a service.
So I started, first of all, doing counseling.
Since when?
Since it's been 2 months now, I guess. Since we were shut down. We're open now again, but we're working on reduced hours. We offer remote counseling, Zoom counseling, and I also do online workshops. So workshops, I give you exercises, brain exercises you can do to keep yourself, improve your focus, improve your mental sharpness, improve your performance, and we can tailor this to your needs. So if you want more on stress and anxiety, or focus more on your memory, or more on your focus, then we can do those kind of things. And I do this even for corporates. So this is the service I've recently started.
So what happens in this? Okay, can you share with us 1 or 2 exercises now that we can do at home?
You want to do one with me right now?
Let's try. I hope I'm not going to embarrass myself, and if I will, I hope I will entertain you all.
This exercise we do to improve the connection between our 2 hemispheres, and to improve multitasking and hand independence. Okay, so take a thumbs up sign with one hand, and stick the pinky out with the other.
Pinky.
Yeah. Now thumbs up with that other hand. Put your pinky in, and then the pinky out with the first. Okay. Now we do both together.
Wait. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's really good for the focus. I get it.
10 times, just times in the morning. And of course, it's not going to be great initially, but the more you do it, because of neuroplasticity, the better you will get at it. And the idea is that the right hemisphere of your brain is controlling your left hand, and the left hemisphere of your brain is controlling your right hand. So when you do this kind of exercise, you are promoting a better connectivity between the 2 hemispheres. And a more connected brain means a brain that is protected from future neurodegenerative diseases. So this is just one example. And there's other examples that we do that on different areas of the brain, prefrontal cortex, memory, hippocampus, all of these things.
I want to thank you very much. This is really fun. Dr. Sultan is smiling. Can you ask us something that you would like to know, Dr. Sultan? And for all of you joining here, Sarah, Arjun, Mariam from London, Amani, please go ahead and shoot your questions around things like how to overcome depression, how to sleep better, how to eat better for your brain. I mean, I have my long list of questions. Don't worry about me. Plus, I can call Dr. Upasana every day because she's my bestie. She's an amazing human. But hi, Khaldun. But since you are here, someone says that's so hard. Yes, it is. Sarah says that was hard. Wow. I think it's been Ariana Huffington and a few other people a few other world leaders who have. Robin Sharma is speaking so much about the power of sleep. Why is that we are a world deprived sleep for the last few years? Why don't we sleep? What's wrong with us?
Oh, so many things. I mean, number one reason is, of course, stress. We're worried about work. Also, number of hours. If you're working too much, you don't have enough time to sleep, but you want to come home and spend time with your family, and then you want some time for your leisure activities and all of that, and then you still have to get up at the same time in the morning. But stress can even affect, so even if you are sleeping 8 hours, if you're stressed, it's going to affect the quality of your sleep. So you will wake up feeling tired regardless of how many hours you slept.
What a crazy loop. So you're not sleeping, then you're stressed. You're not stressed, you're not sleeping. This is the recipe of craziness.
Yes, you're very... Absolutely. Because I get a lot of people come to my office and they're like, I sleep 8 hours. And I'm like, okay, well, when you wake up in the morning, do you feel fresh? And they're like, oh, no, I've never felt fresh. Like, people have not felt fresh in the morning for years. Like, they have never woken up feeling, oh, I am ready to take on the day. So, stress and the kind of life you live, like in the city life, really affects the quality of our sleep. Because all the bright lights in your city, so you need to have your room completely dark. No, none of those bright lights coming in your room. You need blackout curtains, or you tape it up the corners of your, or cover all LED lights in your room if you have a Wi-Fi router, all of that kind of stuff. And of course, stay away from the blue light of your screen or your TV or your phone, whatever that is, at least an hour before you sleep. What that blue light is 1 hour. What the blue light is doing is basically sending a signal to your brain telling to shut down its melatonin production. And melatonin production is what we need to be able to fall asleep. But because your brain sees this blue light, it's like, oh, okay, it's not time to sleep, no melatonin production. And then you end up not having a good quality sleep because of all that light. So at least if you must use your phone, please keep your blue light filter on after 7 p.m., 8 p.m.
Thank you, doctor. We have two beautiful questions here. The first one is, what is the best way to ensure my brain keeps neuroplasticity?
Keep on challenging it and stimulating it. So keep learning new things, keep putting yourself in new situations, learn a new language, learn a new hobby, play musical instrument, crossword puzzles, whatever. Keep challenging it. Even this exercise. If you do these kind of exercises or other hand exercises, anything that is new and challenging to your brain, anything that is not easy for you, you keep doing more of it, and your brain will keep remaining sharp, keep creating new connections, and keep making you sharp.
Upasana, but we can argue that the pandemic is challenging us. So to what extent this can help us to increase our neuroplasticity and resourcefulness?
You actually hit the nail right on the head. This is a great time. Your brain right now is primed for neuroplasticity because everything is different. Your routine has changed. Your environment, your normal environment has changed because you're at home more, you're not going to work. Whatever you were doing is not what you're doing anymore. So this is prime time for your brain. This is the best time to make new habits, to learn something new, to create something new. Your brain is in a new environment. So anything you give it, it will be primed for it and it will be open for it. So do it. Whatever it is that you've been wanting to do, you said you didn't have time to do, you have all this extra time now. If you're doing less or if you're not commuting to work, have all of this extra time. Make it. I personally have started doing so many things I've always wanted to do. I started playing the keyboard, I started playing the guitar for the first time, I started doing a 1,000-piece puzzle, and I can just feel my brain, I can just feel the synapses in my brain. I'm so much more energetic and more interested in doing more things.
But people who are worried financially, they can't play the piano or the guitar or the puzzles. So how do we help them relax a little bit more?
So we'll go back to the calming exercises we talked about. And even if you cannot do those things, there's still things you can do in your daily life. Keep your neuroplasticity on. Little things that are challenging, like the finger exercises, like the crossword puzzle. Everybody can do a crossword puzzle. These things keep your brain sharp, and it's also a distraction from the stresses of the current condition. So instead of spending time worrying about it, the things you cannot control, you can use the time more productively. And about the things that you can control, make a list and see what you can do. Make a contingency plan. Put your goals down, put your problems down, so you can think of solutions.
And speaking of balance, can you please explain from a neuroscientific point of view, why is it a bad habit to watch too much videos on social media and to watch too many things on Netflix? Why is that bad for our brain?
So it's the dopamine hit. Every time you get a like on Instagram or you win something, it's the dopamine hit. So once the dopamine is a reward molecule, so it's the molecule that seeks and searches for reward, and then go to the action that will give you the reward. And all these Instagram likes keeps giving your brain a reward. So you want to consume more and more of it and more of it. And then when you take that away from it, then there's a huge decline in mood, in energy, and all of this, because now that source has been taken away. And also, it's not giving you anything positive in return. When you do it in excess, you're losing more than you're gaining. So it's the whole idea of addiction is based on dopamine. So give yourself, time. This is when you will check Instagram, and then that's it. Whether it's 5 times a day or 10 times a day, instead of constantly checking every time you got a notification, just decide when you're going to check it. So you're going to check your phone every hour for 5 minutes. That's it. Instead of every time you get a notification. Don't be a slave to your device. Let the device be your slave.
And be aware of your dosage of dopamine and take control and responsibility over your mental health. So these little tweaks in the day will help you increase your chances to maintain your mental health, to stay sharper, to become more resourceful during COVID, rather than being overwhelmed by the stress. And on top of that, you're having your bad habits, and of course, you are not winning. Dr. Sultan asked us a beautiful question. What is one habit that you have changed or adopted during this corona? So you've mentioned that you are playing much more instruments. I would like you to share what other habits you've adopted, and then I will share mine.
I mentioned earlier about the gratitude list, especially because things are so stressful and so around. I try to bring a little bit of positivity just to remind my brain that, okay, there's good things to look forward to, and you don't have to let it affect your entire mood for the next however many you're going to last. So gratitude list and working on my hobbies. So whether it's the keyboard or puzzles or whatever it is, all of these exercises that I've started doing.
For me, very quickly, I've reduced my. Thank you very much for the question, Dr. Sultan. I've reduced my time on Instagram to only 1 hour and 15 minutes. I've set an app to notify me, and when my app says you've spent 1 hour and 15 minutes on Instagram, that means that day I'm not going to allow myself to go on Instagram anymore. And I've been doing it for more than a month, and I'm so proud because I gained another hour or 2, and I'm doing much more with that time, and I'm very proud. I was influenced by Marie Forleo's latest book, Everything is Figured Outable. I've played her audiobook, and I asked myself, why don't I listen to more audiobooks? In the time when I'm scrolling and watching what other people are doing and watching commercials on shampoos and Pampers and Dettol, I might as well learn something and become more intelligent rather than scrolling, right? So I stopped that pattern, and also I'm forcing myself to learn much more about my business, marketing, and also the tech part, which is sales funnels, websites, and things like that. And it's completely out of my comfort zone. But of course, as entrepreneurs, as solopreneurs, we have to grow. We have a few more questions, and then we have to wrap up because it's 9:20. Like, we're gonna be here for 1 hour, and I said to you 20 minutes, but I can't stop talking with you because you're so rich in giving so much information. Okay, Lara Tarabai says hi. Dr. Sultan says, I learned a lot about you both are gems. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful compliment. Quick Vipassana. Someone says, do you recommend to have the workout in the evening to sleep better? Short answer.
It is better if you work in the morning, but of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin that you get when you work out. So sometimes if you are already a high energy person, working out in the evening will give you a lot of that motivation and energy instead of actually calming you down. But having said that, if that is the only time you can work, then work out in the evening. It's not a big deal. Any is learned. So if you work out and over and over again, your brain will learn that that's the natural way of things, natural order of things for you. So if that's the only time you can work out, evening is fine, but preferred is morning or any before you start your day.
Yeah, me too. And the last question we are going to take for tonight, Sarah Gipino says, I can't sleep without the TV. What would you advise to get rid of that habit? I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
Anything that doesn't have that light in it. And again, remember, it may be hard for you for the first 3 days, for the first 2 weeks even, to fall asleep without the TV. But you know what? Anything is a habit. Your brain can learn anything. So if you sleep for 2 weeks without watching the TV, after the first week, it will get easier. After the second week, it will become habit. It will become a natural habit. So push yourself, get through the first few days when it's hard. Eventually, it will get easier because now there's new connection formed in your brain, and it will be a natural habit for you.
So you heard it, Sarah. Plus, I will add, and I'm sure Upasana will agree, if you really love your sanity and your brain and your skin and your health and your youth, you will sleep, girl, sleep. So create a new habit around doing things that are good for you, for your body. Upasana, we have to look off because we've been here for almost an hour. You woman, you can get me. We can stay here for another hour. I know. Are you coming back to do another live with me?
Of course. Thank you so much.
Sure. So I would like to say to you, thank you. I can do it.
See?
I can do it. I can do it. We can learn anything, and not everything, but anything. Thank you so much for making time. Bless you and your business. If anyone has more questions, they can find you on Evolve Training on your Instagram channel. Evolve Brain Training. Evolve Brain Training. And of course, if you want to anyways connect with Dr. Upasana, you have just to DM me. Thank you for being here. We had a beautiful audience. Thank you for the questions. If you have more things, of course, DM us. Thank you. And now let's go and rest because we have to sleep so we can take care of ourselves. Thank you for being here, Upasana. Mwah.